Well, we were told, of course, now 11, 12 years ago when the bombs were exploded, that this was all good and well because deterrence means that the chances of conventional wars decrease. But, you know, not even a year later, a little bit over a year later, we had Kargil. So it means increased insecurity, I think. It means increased insecurity in the obvious sense. There's always a chance that someone or the other will pull the trigger, right? Deterrence is, you know, it's a concept. It doesn't necessarily translate into the way politics actually plays out.
भारत ने जो एटमी तजुर्बात किए, आज हमने उसका हिसाब भी चुका दिया है।
Let me make it clear that we are determined not to be intimidated by this threat. I give a solemn pledge to all my countrymen that we will never let Pakistan be a victim of nuclear blackmail. This means not only that we will never surrender our rights or claims because of India's nuclear status, but also that we will not be deflected from our policies by this fateful development. In concrete terms, we will not compromise the right of self-determination of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, nor will we accept Indian hegemony or domination over the subcontinent.
The establishment of threat pilots Pakistan to its next logical step, which is to contest the military capabilities of India. The objective is neutralized deterrence. The basic premise becomes that Pakistan's existence is dependent on a strong counteroffensive, which invariably acts as an efficient state of defense. True to the argument that Pakistan's nuclear ambitions were and are a reactionary measure to India's activities, it appears that the ethos of Pakistan has always been to countervail any eminence India may have militarily.
I think there's another stupidity. We don't need nuclear weapons. It could destroy Pakistan. It's not in our interest at all. India could justify. They have a reason to it. Not for us. They don't need nuclear weapons. Their armed forces, in any case, larger than ours, much larger than ours, and they could hope to fight a conventional war fairly effectively. They don't need nuclear weapons for us. They can, but to get a seat in the Security Council, if India has nuclear weapons, they have greater importance. Then they have had experience with China and the northern border. They can justify that. We have no need for this weapon. And if we use it, we'll destroy Pakistan. It's not at all necessary. We have no nuclear threat.
You know that nuclear option was not Pakistan's choice. We lost half our country. There was in 1974 Pokhran, in which India demonstrated its nuclear strength, and Pakistan at that time also went for the nuclear option. But even after having achieved that, our bomb lay in the basement without telling the world that we had one. And it is only in '98 when India blasted their nuclear weapons that Pakistan also, to bring confidence to its people and say that we can defend Pakistan, we also had to respond, which is not a good thing for both countries. But at the same time, there is now a deterrence which will prevent a major war between India and Pakistan.
Simply that if we didn't have that, and this is not a Europe or West versus Cold War situation, because that was a completely different context. Here is a country which is out to be dominated by its neighbor. And over the last 62 years, we have any number of examples of this. And therefore, with them having a nuclear weapon and us not having one, was going to lead to situations where they wouldn't use the nuclear weapon against us. But the threat of having it when you don't, to me, makes a huge difference in policies in trying to dominate that state, with whom you have still a large number of issues. It's not only Kashmir, it's Sir Creek, it's the waters, it is Siachen, it is trade. All these things are important and pressure is possible on us. And I think the best example of being able to have this deterrent was after Mumbai.
The nuclear factor has had two impacts in South Asia. The first is, of course, that it has been a factor for stability because it has prevented any all-out war between India and Pakistan. There has been no all-out war between the two countries since 1971, since the induction of the nuclear factor. But the second aspect of nuclearization is that the two countries cannot be sanguine about their nuclear relationship. The strategic relationship between the two nuclear neighbors is as yet undefined. It needs to be defined. Both countries need to understand each other's nuclear doctrines much better than they do. They need to understand what the thresholds are. They need to be able to explain many of the dimensions of nuclear risk to each other.